Everyone ready to begin? Channel 3. You're falling apart here.
Thank you.
Okay, my name is Chief Timothy Dabney of the Lompoc Police Department. I want to thank you all for coming out today to cover this important development in the Dana McPeek missing persons case. Nearly 10 years ago, on May 5th, 2001, Dana McPeek was reported as a missing person to the Lompoc Police Department. Dana was last seen at approximately 12:45 a.m. on May 4th, 2001. Dana was 33 years old at the time of her disappearance. She comes from a family that has extensive roots in the Lompoc Valley. She was a lifelong resident with many friends and acquaintances who were deeply concerned at her disappearance and assisted in the search to locate her. This has been a long and difficult path for Dana's family, who have been engaged throughout the entire investigation. Over the course of the next 10 years, the Lompoc Police Department conducted many hours of follow-up investigation, compiled hundreds of pages of investigative reports, collaborated with allied agencies and experts, including the California Department of Justice and the FBI. This case has never been closed. The Lompoc Police Department has revisited and re-examined this case on a periodic basis, looking for new information, re-interviewing contacts, and evaluating varied technologies and methods of investigations to break this case. Several weeks ago, an individual was walking in a remote area of northern Santa Barbara County looking for historical artifacts, and this person discovered a human jawbone in his search for artifacts. The Santa Barbara County Sheriff's Department was contacted and responded. They conducted a search of the area, collected the evidence, and began a coroner's investigation. The exact location of this discovery is being withheld for investigative purposes. Following a preliminary examination, the jawbone was sent to the State of California Missing and Unidentified Persons section of the California Department of Justice for comparative examination against missing persons files and subsequent DNA analysis. The Lompoc Police Department has been contacted by the Department of Justice Laboratory and informed that the bone was a positive DNA match for Dana McPeek. The coroner has not made any preliminary indication as to the cause of death for Dana. The Lompoc Police Department continues to investigate this case and asks that anyone with any information regarding the disappearance or death of Dana McPeek please contact the Lompoc Police Department. I am joined today by members of Dana's family, Captain Larry Ralston, Sergeant Chuck Strange of the Lompoc Police Department Investigation Section, as well as Sheriff Bill Brown of the Santa Barbara County Sheriff's Department, who was the chief of police for the city of Lompoc when Dana McPeek was reported missing. I have asked Sheriff Brown to make a few comments on this discovery, followed by Troy McPeek, who will speak on behalf of the family.
Thank you, Chief Dabney, and thank all of you for being here today. The Sheriff's Office is doing everything possible to assist the Lompoc Police Department in this investigation. We have been hampered somewhat by the weather conditions, but when the weather clears, we will be continuing to assist by conducting a further extensive ground search of the discovery area with our search and rescue team. We will also be conducting a forensic excavation of the site of the discovery of the mandible or jawbone. As you heard, I am very familiar personally with this case, having been the chief of police here at the time of Dana's disappearance. And I can certainly attest to the fact that over the years, this police department has done everything possible to try to find out what happened to Dana. They've been conducting extensive follow-up investigations. The discovery of some of Dana's remains has come as a major break in this case. It answers some questions, but it begs many other questions. And I believe that there are people in the community who know what happened to Dana. And I ask those people to come forward now to help answer the remaining questions and to provide Dana's family with the closure that they deserve. And lastly, I want to extend the sympathy of all of us in the law enforcement community to Dana's family. This family has gone through hell, and in not knowing what happened to Dana, they have endured unrelenting anguish in the uncertainty of her disappearance. They deserve better than that. They deserve answers to what happened. And I want to assure them and the members of the community that we will be doing all that we can to find those answers. I'd like to now turn it over to Troy McPeek.
I'd like to thank the media for being here at the request of the Lompoc Police Department. It's come to the attention of our family that an article about Dana in today's edition of the Lompoc Record reports about her past drug use. This deeply saddens the members of our family. The article fails to mention the fact that Dana was 7 years clean and sober at the time of her disappearance. The article also mentions that Dana let homeless strangers stay at her apartment, and this also was not true. On behalf of myself and my family, we would like to thank the following law enforcement officials for their involvement in the investigation of the disappearance of Dana McPeek. Lompoc Police Chief Timothy Dabney, Sergeant Chuck Strange, Detective Dave Duskin, Joe Bailey, Santa Barbara County Sheriff Bill Brown, and any other officials that I haven't mentioned who took part in the investigation over the years. From our hearts, we thank you for never giving up and looking for Dana. It's been 9 years, 10 months, and 23 days since Dana disappeared. And we've missed her each and every day. We've all agonized over what happened to Dana, and today is the announcement of that answer. My family and I would also like to thank all of our friends and relatives who prayed for Dana and kept us in their thoughts. And that's all I have to say. Thank you very much.
Okay, Sergeant Strange, Captain Ralston, you want to address any questions that might come up?
Are there any questions concerning this that we can try to answer for you?
Could you speak at all about any other evidence that was found with the truck? I remember that at that time that there was a fingerprint that was found. Has there been any more advancement on that clue or any other evidence that has shown up?
At the time, the evidence that was located from the truck was analyzed and processed, and now you're talking about 10 years ago, so technology has advanced in the field of forensics to the point where we're probably going to go ahead and revisit that, revisit some of the evidence that was seized from the truck to try to maybe see if there's any follow-up leads. I tell you right now, I mean, my heart goes out to the family for their sense of loss. And we are actually going to, aggressively follow up any kind of leads that hopefully this press conference, stimulates. I'd like to give the media a couple of different numbers, direct numbers to call. One is the main number to the police department, 736-2341. Another number is 875-8159. And the third and final number is 875-8121. And anyone from the community that has information regarding this investigation is encouraged to call any of those numbers. They can leave their name or they can call anonymously to give us any information they may have. On behalf of the family, I'd also like to mention that there is a $10,000 reward for any information leading to the arrest and conviction of any individuals responsible for what happened to Dana. As Chief Dabney had stated, at this point, because of the small amount of remains, we're unable to determine the exact cause of death, but we are investigating this as a suspicious death. And there's a lot of questions, more questions than answers at this point.
Can you, for those of us who are new to the area, can you tell us a little bit about that past evidence, what was found and what's going to be reanalyzed to hopefully solve this case?
I'm not going to comment on all the evidence that was seized.
But in the past, there was a fingerprint?
The fingerprint is going to be looked at again, and like I said, we're just going to kind of go back and go over the case again. Over the last 10 years, like I said, Chief Dabney had mentioned it, we basically, this case has never been closed. So we've gone through the case, revisited it, sometimes even contacting witnesses in the case just to kind of see if anything had come up. This has always kind of been at the forefront of the Lompoc Police Department. So that's one of the things that we will do is revisit the evidence, the fingerprint being one of those items of evidence.
Chuck, you were here in that original when she disappeared, and I wondered if you could talk a little bit about what this has meant to your career, and also why this case has touched the department so much. I believe she's probably one of the only long outstanding missing people in town.
This has been considered a cold case for us. I hate to use that term because for us it's always been warm, but I guess technically speaking it is. It's touched us because Dana was a big part of this community. She does come from an extensive family in the community, and we feel like we'd be doing her a disservice not to give it 110% and try to answer some of the unanswered questions.
And along that line, Chuck, I know the sheriff spoke deeply about the fact that it sounds like someone may know something, and it's because. Are you saying because she was so entrenched in this community that this was not likely an outsider, that someone knows something?
That's correct. She was a huge part of this community. I remember having contact with her when I was a patrolman, and a good positive contact. So she was a good person, and yeah, we definitely feel that there's people out there who know what happened to her.
Sheriff, can you give us any more idea of what the forensic examination is going to involve in the hills? And I know you don't want to disclose location, but generally it's in North County, South County, high, low.
It's in the North County region, in the North County region, in an area that we're going to be conducting a further search. We've done a preliminary search. We're going to be doing a much more extensive search of that area. And then we will also do an archaeological excavation of the area in a quest to find additional remains. And that's about all I can tell you at this point.
Time frame, just waiting for weather?
Well, we have to get the weather to cooperate with us.
Is this area under surveillance or any type of, is it being watched over?
Yeah, it's a remote area, and we don't have any further comment about the location.
Sheriff, is there any indication that she may have died at that location, that remote area?
We don't have any determination at this point of the cause and manner of her death. We are further investigating that.
Can you tell us when the bone was found? You said just kind of a couple weeks ago, but do you have any better date?
We'd rather not indicate that at this point. We'll release that subsequent to the completion of the archaeological dig.
Okay, having no more questions, please respect the family as they depart the room. Thank you again for coming out today.